Hello and welcome to the Footy Mailbag. My name is Damo and here with me as usual is Clarky. How are you, my friend?
I am very good, and I have been under strict instructions not to talk about the 2000 American animated film Titan AE, created by Don Bluth.
I didn't say you couldn't mention it. I just didn't want you to reel off all of the films that Don Bluth, is that his name?
Then why did you make me
sign?
Why did you make me sign the contract?
Can we talk about this off air?
Oh yeah, they always want to take it offline when it's not going their way, listeners.
We've got to be professional in this podcast.
Move on, Damo.
Yeah. This week, our guest joined us in the pre-season and then joins us again now. It is Deadly from Insight Fantasy Sports. Thanks for coming back, mate. We didn't scare you for last time?
Nah. Somehow I wasn't scared away by Clark and all his mannerisms and his recollection of basically everything that has ever happened on this earth.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably got Google in front of him where he can just look anything up, but, you know, he's got a very good memory as it is, so, you know.
What the fuck, Damo? You don't think I know absolutely everything?
I wouldn't be calling you if I was at a pub quiz. Let's just say that.
My track record at pub quizzes is very good.
Footy Mailbag pub quiz. Oh, that would be good.
We could do awesome. That. Listeners, do you want that? Tell us, right in.
I don't know how we would work it out, but like...
There's ways. Actually,
are we big enough to book out a pub for a pub quiz? Probably not.
We could do it virtually, and we could raise money for charity. There's ways.
There would be ways.
All right. We'll put a pin in that. Anyway, Deadly, how's your team tracking at the moment?
Bit up and down. It's not terrible. I've just sort of been sat around 7K for the last about 6 weeks. I can't go up, can't go down. I'm just stuck there, and it's the same distance from about 4K to 10K, and I don't know how I'm still just chilling in 7th.
You're higher than I am, and I mean I've got a lot to work out with my team because we'll get to it a bit later. But there's a lot to manoeuvre over this week, and then the buys coming up, and some key injuries which we will get into, and there's lots of questions about, have just made everything a little bit more difficult and Clarky, that no one seems to have any money. No one seems to have any boosts, or only has one boost that they were saving. And I mean, this is probably the perfect week to use it because we've got the situation at hand. But it just feels like all of these injuries all at once that we're going to talk about in like 30 seconds have happened all at once, and all like have sent everyone into a tailspin.
I think this has definitely been one of the challenging years where we're at that point where there's not a lot of clear targets, as you said. And as usual, we thought the forward line was going to be pretty straightforward, and it turns out it hasn't. I mean, we'll get the ball rolling into some of that trouble. But Deadly, how have you been managing your rookie situation? Let's talk about cash gen.
It's not good. Look, I've had some luck with some guys who, you know, I've jumped on and, you know, made a bit of coin, held them a bit longer than maybe you should have if you're playing the break-even game, but they made it that little bit extra coin that sort of saved me. But it's going to be interesting the next couple of weeks for me because there's not much going on in my bench no more.
That's it. I know it's a bad time when I'm looking at my bench and I'm like, Charlie Spargo.
Charlie Spargo is my best cash generator at the minute.
It's good, isn't it? It feels nice, though. Good old Sparks.
You know... but it's crazy. Like 2 weeks ago, I probably had majority green ticks on my bench, and now I'm probably lucky if 2 of them are going to line up this week. So like, it's gotten thin real quick, and guys like Henry Hustwaite was subbed out because Hawthorn were playing too boring apparently, and like it's like he was making money for us. Like Connor Nash isn't back yet, or he's probably back this week, but. I mean, like, we thought Hustwaite was going to play as long as Connor Nash was out. And then Hugh Boxall, he's out and probably comes back in now because Jack McRae's out for a couple of weeks. But, like, all these guys and that we thought we could, you know, bank on have just, you know, disappeared from their teams. Lucas Camberelli, everyone started him because he came out of nowhere to be named in the Carlton side in round 1. And now he's pretty much everyone's favourite loop now. Like, Are any of these guys ever going to come back? Like, are we ever going to see any money out of these guys? And then Ben Patton, at the Swans. He's Gary Ablett every time he lines up in the VFL, but then comes across into the Swans team and can only get 5 Supercoach points in 3 quarters of football. So it's like these guys, like no one is holding on to their spot. No one wants to be a rookie for Supercoach.
Yeah, can we take a minute to bash Essendon? Probably slightly not as bad as the Bulldogs did, but Sardar Hawley got subbed at halftime. I didn't think.
Oh, there was a reason for bashing Essendon. I thought you were just going to ask if we could bash Essendon. You know?
I mean,
I wouldn't have approved on the bashing.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
I've also got some news. I don't know if you have heard, but Sardar Hawley's like guaranteed to be dropped.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
I don't know.
I felt like it was pretty obvious, but yeah, he's apparently Angus Clark is going to come in and debut in his spot.
Great for my keeper team.
It's fantastic, but I want to know why he was subbed at halftime in the first place. Like, he was not why they were losing by 91 points.
Scott's head works in mysterious ways. I'll tell you what. There's been some interesting subbings that have happened, not only from him, but just from everyone, every coach in the AFL this year. And well, not to really dive into the discussion, but the sub is so dumb.
Oh yeah,
100%.
And the coaches want it gone as well. The coaches want it gone as well. Actually, a few weeks ago, we talked about the lockout debate with Tom, and it really does seem like the sub is the main reason that people want the rolling lockout, because they want to be able to manage their benches and their rookies as best as possible because of the sub. A lot of people would be happy to have a weekend lockout or a full lockout as soon as Thursday night starts if they could know who the sub is, or if there was no sub when teams are announced. So, you know, it really does sound like rolling lockout is necessary as long as the sub exists. So for all those who want the full lockout, well, start writing to AFL House and tell them the sub is no good.
Been preaching to the Kawhis about the sub for a decade now. Just get it gone. No one wants it.
Anyway, with the rookie crisis, it comes at a bad time because there are some real key injuries out there. I already said McRae is out for 2 to 3 weeks, but also Finn Callaghan has done his shoulder. Not a full dislocation, but still going to be out for about a month, 4 to 6 weeks. Jason Horne-Francis is out for 4 weeks, according to Port Adelaide's official injury report, but he was back running today and reckons he could be back in a week or so after their bye.
You can't hear it, listeners, but Deadly is shaking his head.
Yeah,
it's so dumb.
It's the most no that I have ever heard in my life.
He's not going to be back next week.
Jai Newcomb's not listed on Hawthorn's injury report, but he was wearing a moon boot. Nazai Wanganeen Malera, there are whispers that he could miss due to some kind of corky or some ankle issue or something along those lines. But that is, like, Horne-Francis and McRae especially, those are 2 guys that we thought we could keep long-term in our forward lines. And the buys start next week, so best 18 coming up may assist plans to whether you keep them or you move them on. But what are our plans? Like, are we moving them all at once? Are we going one at a time? Are we still trying to keep the cadence that we had before, just, you know, systematically doing it through these injuries? And Clarkie, do you own all 3 of these guys, this Callaghan, Horne-Francis and McRae trio? And how are you managing, you know, getting them in and out or keeping them in your team?
I'm not cool enough to own Finn Callaghan, but I do own Jack Silvani, who also copped an injury and is a test this week, as he was my spark last week, and he's been averaging 90, been playing well, so I stand by that because predicting
you have to stay on brand.
Well, also, who can predict an injury? Like, you just can't. I have Horne-Francis and McRae, and I think the clear answer is if you have money banked, you need to swap them for players who are going to score. There's no point cashing them out and saving it because you're going to lose those points this week. McRae has been averaging over 100. Horne-Francis has actually racked up a pretty consistent, you know, 90, at least 90 average over the last few. It feels like, and I don't know how he got there, but he somehow will be on 20 1 second, and then I'll stop watching the game because I don't really want to watch Port all that much. And I'll come back and I'm like, oh, he scored 90. Okay, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But these guys got to go for it. You got to go either up or sideways to the best available option that's going to replace that scoring. Otherwise, you're going to end up too far down, especially given the rookies on the bubble this week.
Deadly. With a guy like Horne-Francis or Macrae, who Macrae, I'll use Macrae as the best example. He's only going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. Let's say that you wanted to continue bringing in money makers. There's rookies on the bubble that people are trying to jump on. If you had to hold Macrae, is he probably the one that, if you had to hold one of them and you owned all 3, Macrae is probably the one that you hold, isn't it?
I'll make this easy for you. I am holding Macrae myself.
Yeah.
I don't have Callaghan. I think Callaghan's the number 1 sell because he won't play until at least round 17 by the sounds of it after Jetabursa's bye.
Yeah.
Horne-Francis will not be back next week. That's bullshit. I won't have that. But even then, he's 4 weeks. I can't have that. Macrae's like guaranteed to be back after his bye. And the way my team's set up personally, I can run without. I can afford to have Macrae on my bench for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's just how it is. My structure is personally. I can't afford to get away with it.
Yeah, and we don't want to miss out on the rookies either. So if there is a guy that you have to hold, he is the one. And after this week, best 18 for the bye rounds should assist you in holding a guy like Macrae for a little while. Should return round 14 after the Saints bye. So nice and simple there. Rookies on the bubble this week. Cooper Simpson is 119k. He's going to be the most popular trade-in. He has scored 53 and 71 in his first 2 games and now has a break-even of minus 53 and seems pretty settled in the Freo side. I want him to stay in the team. I don't know if he will, but I want him to stay in the team. Archer Day Wicks, Cody Anjove, Thomas Sims as 3 other guys that also on the bubble, if you're looking in that direction, needed second downgrade. If you already have Cooper Simpson, Dante Vicentini, though, he's 248k, so a little outside the rookie bracket, but he's also on the bubble and on a lot of people's radars. Clarkey, have you considered Dante Vicentini at all as a downgrade option?
No. It's pretty simple. He in the what's the most respectful way to say he's not even close to the edge of my radar because Jordan Sweet exists. Ivan Soldo, I think, is still alive in some capacity somewhere. And Port, let's face it, they're probably desperate at the moment to try and figure out what's going on. I think we could be seeing a little bit more of a West Coast ruck situation happening until they figure it out and how they want to play it. I don't have any faith in it. And I think there are better rookies out there.
Yeah. I get really scared when Ken starts playing with the ruck department at Port Adelaide. Last year, we saw Sweet play a couple of games, Soldo play a couple of games, then they played a couple of games together, then Vicentini came in and played key forward for some reason, and then all 3 of them were out and they played Asava in the ruck, and then like when Ken gets antsy about the ruck, no one is safe. No one is safe. Like Vicentini probably plays this week. After the bye, does he stay in? Who knows? Jordan Sweet is still wanting that number 1 ruck role. And I don't know if they've sent him to the Sandful to work on something or what, but I'm not confident that Vicentini stays in the Port team after their bye. And it might mean that you miss out on a moneymaker in the sort of Matthew Flynn vein, but I think even missing 1 price rise to be sure of his job security is probably the safer option here, Deadly.
Yeah, I'm just quickly trying to get up what he's projected to make over the next couple of weeks, depending on his scoring. But I think it's very situational. If you do still own Matt Flynn, I really think it's the best option you could do. But there is a big but. It's how will he stay on the side? And once I find him, so if he goes 90 this week, which is probably a bit high, he gets a 55k price rise with a 6 break even. Look, he's gonna if he can hold his spot for 2 weeks, even if he goes 80s, it's not really a lot of cash, to be honest. Yeah, no, I don't think you can. I keep looking at it like I'm not going to just because I have no reason to. I've Gordon Cherry and I don't have Flynn and I don't want a ruck in my flex. But yeah, if you had a Flynn, I don't think it is Vicentini. The more I look into it,
Yeah, I mean, there are other guys in that Vicentini price range that I like a lot more. Philippou is on the bubble after he finally returned to the St Kilda side. Hasn't done anything amazing yet, but I know lots of people that were into him at 313k. Gideon Coleman had his first game back and scored 72 on just over half a game of time on ground, so he was scoring really well points per minute wise. I really like him as an option down the track, maybe next week. And then Callum Mills, he scored 86 or something fantasy points in a half of football and got over in a half of VFL football and only got and like he looked amazing. Like he's over whatever the foot issue is. If you like Vicentini because he's a ruckman, because he's got a negative break even, because he's been scoring well, I would personally leave him on the pine and go for a Coleman or even a Mills instead and just wait a week. Deal with these injuries, bring in Cooper Simpson as the number one rookie this week, and then just wait for Gideon Coleman next week or even Mills after you've at least seen him once. I would much prefer that than Dante Vicentini.
Yeah.
I think as well, thinking about Matt Flynn, has Riley O'Brien been particularly difficult as a matchup in recent history?
He was start of the season, he was phenomenal. And then sort of over the past 3 or so weeks, someone went 99, another person went 91, and then I think Darcy Cameron was the first to turn up against him on the weekend.
Darcy Cameron went 107.
He was the first to turn up against him. So
yeah.
Okay. So it's a pretty poor matchup for Flynn.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of the scenario that you were talking about. I think the most likely scenario is that you'd move a Flynn on if you had him in the flex to someone rather than filling that R3 spot. So yeah, I don't think there's a useful spot really for Vicentini.
Yeah, I just don't think it's enough cash for like Flynn. Flynn obviously had that big 140 score, which, helped his cash massively. So he only really needed 2 weeks of 90 or 80 to make 120k. Vicentini probably needs, 290 weeks to make 110. And, if he even holds his spot, does he hit 90 in both those weeks? Probably not, to be honest.
Yeah, especially if you own Flynn, right, with the 44 break even this week is pretty achievable. Like you'd hope that's a putt for Matt Flynn, Supercoach wise. So you're probably getting about the same amount of cash by flipping him next week or at his bye.
Yeah.
And ignoring Vicentini.
Yeah, so just to put it in perspective, Cooper Simpson I rate as the top rookie this week. If he scores 65 up until round 16, he is going to make he's going to get up to 280k. That is, so he's going to make more money on top of his price than Vicentini will in the same time span.
Yeah, Cooper Simpson's a slam dunk, I feel. As long he's pretty well locked into that Fremantle side now, you'd think, least for a little bit. Yeah, I think that he's a no-brainer if you don't have him.
I swear to God, Damo, Freo, fuck this for us. I will burn the West.
The 3 most traded in players being Freo players worries me for the people that are going on.
Yeah, what worries me is people trading in Luke Jackson when I'm not convinced that Sean Darcy doesn't come back in and completely ruin everything.
Yeah. It's a big worry, big watch.
Clarky, as a Melbourne fan, if Darcy comes back in and Freo look old and slow and too tall, and Jackson does nothing because there's too many tall people around. Mm-hmm. At the end of the year, I will drive Luke Jackson to Melbourne and drop him off at Gosh's paddock because he does not need to deal with Sean Darcy in the team every week.
It's very strange, and I don't think we should get into it really, obviously, because there's a lot of personal details around it, but I genuinely agree with you that if Freo, like I think Sean Darcy has potential, but Luke Jackson is his potential now.
Yes.
Right? Like we know that from every bit of experience, like just talking like footy here, not even like this isn't even Supercoach, right? Like this is Luke Jackson is a genuine ruck midfielder type player. Like he could be prodigious if he now spends that time getting actual experience playing that role consistently instead of wasting his time as just a forward. He is like the next Max Gawn type. I think like he is someone who could be so useful in so many positions around the ground and lead as like almost like a center in netball, right? Like just going where he's needed.
They, in the round 10 review on Dan Does Footy, Dan Gorringe's podcast that he does with, forgot the other guy's name. Anyway.
Don't worry, Damon, you can insert it here.
I still don't know what his name is.
Now I'm blank on it too.
They were mentioning that they noticed with Sean Darcy that he doesn't have a secondary position.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's not in the ruck, he's not on the field, which means his game time is low, which means... Ollie.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. Ollie.
I've only seen his TikTok content, to be quite honest.
But yeah, like you're not going to have Sean Darcy running off the halfback flank, as funny as that would look. You're not going to have him in the forward pocket. You're not going to have him on the wing. Like with Luke Jackson, you can have him in all these roles if he's not in the ruck. Whereas Sean Darcy, if he's not in the ruck, he's on the bench. And so there will be teams interested in a guy like Sean Darcy, but Luke Jackson is the future of what people want their rucks to be. And I think Freo should do everything they can, chain him to a chair, something, and keep Luke Jackson, tell him you're going to be number one from next season, or hopefully before the end of the season they tell him this, and they move on Sean Darcy.
Yeah, and this is the problem with the speculation of it all as well, where it sounds very much like Jackson was very classy about all of this because he's had a lot of his personal problems dumped into the media for content, let's face it, like that's what it is. And he's been very classy about it by pointing out the fact that he wants to play for Freo. Like, take all this stuff about, oh, Jackson should be the number one ruck and he should be this and he should be that. He's come out and pointed out that he's actually extremely happy playing for Fremantle because that's what he wants to do. And I think him getting the opportunity to do that in whatever capacity is so good. So I imagine that he's outside Justin Longmuir's door every day like Homer with Poochie, where he's like, I've got some ideas to improve the team. When Luke Jackson isn't playing ruck, everybody should be asking, where's ruckman Luke Jackson?
Well, something really stuck out in Justin Longmuir's press conference after the Giants game last week. Sorry, we'll get to your questions in just a second. They asked about Sean Darcy and Luke Jackson, and previously he had been very steadfast in, oh no, both will work, two can work, we look better with two in the side. He's changed his tune. I think he's seeing what everyone else is seeing finally. I don't know what glasses he was wearing, or if he went to go see an optometrist and now can finally see out of the coach's box's window properly, but he's seeing what everyone else is seeing. Luke Jackson as the main man, Patrick Voss as the backup, or someone a bit more mobile as the backup as well. I think he's seeing the light. I think he is seeing that maybe Sean Darcy, that big lump of clay that can barely stand on 2 feet for more than 6 months at a time, is just not gonna lead the ruck, not be good at leading the ruck anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyway, this is the Dockercast, where we talk all hot things about the best Western Australian team, the Fremantle Dockers.
I will do a special Dockers podcast on this feed if people want it. I don't know what I'll talk about, but
Damo, you realise it's
we need
feed.
rookie moneymakers, and Oscar McDonald still isn't in, so I can pick him.
Yeah, what the fuck's going on, Damo? Yeah, no, you know what, Deadly,
Paddy Voss.
Yeah, you're right. Freo, what are you talking about? Who are you talking about? Fucking Freo.
I'll leave this podcast right now.
Damo forgetting it's our feed, he can put whatever he wants on there. It doesn't matter if people
Essendon would never drop a moneymaker.
Essendon's ruckman is also 70.
Speaking of ruckman,
I would like a choice.
70. Clarkey, who's
you have
your
a
player of the
Vicentini,
week?
Actually. Sorry, just before we move on to
Spark?
does Essendon has the other Vicentini, right?
Yes, we have Vigo
Okay.
Vicentini. He'll play a game at some point this season when Goldie decides that he needs to have a shower.
Yeah, Scott, what are you doing? Play Vicentini. I'll bring that one in.
Well, the double Vicentini.
Yeah, I'll bring them both in if they're both playing in the same round. Hey, my player of the week, I've gone... Hey, the spark this week is purely vibes-based and matchup-based, where, guys, who's someone who's big and tall and has a magnificent beard?
Caleb Daniel.
That's one correct answer. And also looks like he's on Rumspringa. That's right. It's Adelaide key forward Riley Thilthorpe. He is playing West Coast this week. Damo, don't do that. Damo, don't do that. You need to, out of everyone, you are legally obligated to buy into this segment. Riley Thilthorpe has a break-even of 44. He also has a season average of, I believe it's 92. I had it up before. 3-round average of 94, average of 92, and a 5-round average of 87. He comes up against West Coast this week where he could kick like 20 goals. He could put himself top 5 for the Coleman. Following that, he does come up against Sydney, who, I don't know, a Sydney bad, a Sydney good. Adelaide will definitely sort that out. And comes up against Brisbane, who are absolutely washed because they got beaten by a bottom 4 team this week. Absolutely beaten into the sun. So suck shit, Brisbane. I think this is a good trade. 436, do it. Live your best life. The forward line is just fucking made up. None of it matters. You can't predict it. Don't try to. If they're not playing mid, then you don't know what they're going to do. Matthew Kennedy, no. Mr. Amish himself, Riley Thilthorpe. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
There you go. Riley Thilthorpe, the guy who was kept goalless last week and scored like 12 points.
Is that true, Damo?
He was kept goalless. I don't know what he scored.
Yeah, no, hang on. No,
Damo. No. You're not going to like this, Damo. You're not going to like this.
Damo, is that true?
Damo, he scored 103.
He's kept goalless and scored 103.
What?
You're not going to like this. He scored 103 and didn't kick a goal.
Everyone... All right, fair enough. Riley Thilthorpe, Clarkie's spark, trade him in. Do it now.
Did you not hear the 3-round average? That includes 2 scores of a 113, a 103, and a 67. Does that not spell consistency? It's just fun, guys. It's all made up. Supercoach is for fun. I told you, every week, the Spark is just someone who I like based on vibe and based on current form because you guys know all the obvious trading targets. If I came out here every week with a Spark and went, hey guys, you know who's pretty good at football? Isaac Rankin. You should bring him in. Hey, you know who you should trade in? Tom Liberatore, he's having a season. You already know that. You're clever. You're beautiful. Look at you. If you're near a mirror, look. Just have a look. You are beautiful and we love you. Pick the interesting guy.
Do you want me to cut out the times that you have done that or?
No, it's fine.
All right, fair enough. All right, well, Clarkie, put on your cowboy hat and put on your snake wrangling boots.
Snakes? We don't have snakes on the ranch.
I added them in.
You added them in, but what did I bring all these... I put a truckload of mongooses in to deal with the snake problem.
I have decided that the snakes are now pets.
Okay.
Yeah. Deadly, you're on the mailbag farm now. We've brought you in on the truck. We're gonna put you to work.
I feel like we would have at least forked out for an Uber.
Nah, I
on the back of the cattle truck or what?
Yeah, Uber Eats.
I went and picked him up in the Massey Ferguson.
Huge.
Massive.
Anyway, Clarkie, just on a serious note, I love that people are buying into this because our first question refers to lots of free range questions.
Excellent. That's good. Free range, cruelty free.
Yeah.
That's what we aim for here.
First lot of questions, I should say, comes from Jebs. He says he is broke, no money here. Same. Lots of free range questions. Is Matty Roberts to Kitty Coleman horrible? I actually don't mind holding Matty Roberts.
I think he's a hold at least until his bye.
At least until Swan's bye.
Yeah. Warm bodies nowadays. As long as you have warm bodies, just even on the field, it's looking good because now we're getting all the injuries popping in as well as the rookies. It's rough times at the minute, and I feel like if you've probably got an injury to get rid of before you can before you got to get rid of Matty Roberts.
Yeah, for sure. His next question is Vicentini in flex risky? Well, we've already gone through all of that, so
hell yeah,
yes.
Jeffs.
Should I keep playing my rookies, Cleary, Hewitt, Trainer, Lindsay, and trade dead ones like Hustwaite or Stone and hope they have a spike score? Well,
so I still have a feeling about this. Hold Connor Stone. The forward defensive
Mm.
DPP has been super useful to me for moving players around with my other trades.
Only reason I haven't sold Ben Patton yet.
I don't know how he's still there, but that's probably the only reason.
Yeah, and it's so sometimes you got to think about how even the dead rookies can help move your team later. Someone like Hustwaite, yeah, kill him. Just cull him from your team. It's pretty fair to say.
The one thing I will say is, while the rookies are playing, you may as well hold on to them, especially while the rookies are just getting first in, first out kind of policy at team selection. You just got to hold on to these guys. I don't know how much longer Caden Cleary has in the Sydney side, but I think he's got a little bit longer with, I don't know how long until Papley's back, but he might even stay in.
Shit, Tom Papley plays football. Shit.
Yeah, Tom Papley's been out.
exists.
He'll be
playing.
He will be in there as long as these small forwards are still out. Like Papley's still 4 weeks or something away.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of injuries to come back. Cleary's probably safe at least until round 15, maybe after his bye. But after that, I doubt we're going to have him up to that point, to be honest. I think he'll probably have another dud week before we get there.
Yeah, and Hewitt, Eagles seem to want to play him as much as possible. He hasn't been scoring great, but he's a warm body who is scoring points. Luke Traynor should be okay this week. Noah Bolter is grounded. And Xavier Lindsay is...
Tamo, come on, let's not mince words. He has a curfew because he's a fucking shit cunt.
he's grounded. He broke the rules. Mum and Dad aren't happy with him.
It's this weird analogy for the law. Imagine going to court and be like, "Oh, Mum, I'm really sorry. Not guilty." Anyway, sorry.
Maybe his mum is the judge. You don't know what his mum does.
They would. Anyway, sorry. Fucking go to bed, Noah Bolter. We're recording this past your curfew. Anyway.
Melbourne's a small town. We don't know how the courts work. Xavier Lindsay has been scoring okay. He is one I would definitely hold for a little while longer.
Out of them, I wouldn't sell any of them for. I
wouldn't sell it. Well, Traynor, he got subbed out.
Hold him.
Really?
100% hold him against Essendon. Did you not see what Bailey Dale just did to us?
He could get 50.
Look, I wouldn't go that far. I don't know if Jaden Short's back. If he's not,
he's short. He was listed as
Short's out for 2 more weeks.
Okay. Well, there you go. Sam Banks is. If lock in Sam Banks for 45, and then probably lock in Traynor for 30.
If people were upset about what Bailey Dale scored, or wait to see what Luke Traynor scores off 16 disposals.
Well, yeah, every single backman for the Doggies on the weekend had about 20 touches.
Yeah,
Dale had 50. Sam Banks on for 45, and Trainer's on for 25, and we're here. Trade the dead ones is basically what we're saying there. And last question from Jevs is, Butters and Merritt will be ultra cheap soon, so is it worth hoarding cash? It's hard to say. Definitely, you're gonna want to have cash sitting around for the weeks that Butters and Merritt prime and ready to be purchased. We're predicting that week's probably going to be hard. It's probably more so just, you most likely know Zach Butters will have a 130 or a 140 break even. He had a good week the week before, and you just go, all right, as long as he scores 100 here, he's probably going to start making some money. I'll get some money ready for next week. That's just how it'll be. That's how you got to look at it.
I'm not a big fan as well of hoarding too much cash because I feel like you should consistently be building player equity, right? Like that's the aim of the game. And we've been talking about it a lot for the last few weeks now about bench hygiene and making sure that like we're holding on to rookies even though they've got high break evens, because that represents the cash that you don't have, right? That they have an opportunity to make money and trading it into something either that has the opportunity that has the potential of making zero money and costing you money. I would say probably just keep your equity and use it when you are ready to buy.
Yep. Yeah. Next question comes from Con. I have Cherry, Gorn, and TDK. If TDK shares ruck duties this week with Pitney, would you advise trading him?
I personally would. I don't really like 3 rucks personally, just from having Flynn there when he was kicking about. I didn't enjoy my flexibility of my team having 3 rucks, and I think it's almost TDK's time. He's if he dual rucks this week, he's then got the bye. I don't even know if he comes back this week. I think he's probably one that. As long as you've got Gordon Jerry, which you do, I think you can safely cull TDK without a problem.
If I reckon trading TDK, and I know flex means you can put a player anywhere, or get a player from anywhere, but if you put like a dual position guy in your flex position, trading out TDK, and you pick up, let's say, Max Holmes, Jack Sinclair, something along those lines. Yep. You've almost that's almost a cheat code in your flex position.
Yep.
Whereas with a ruck, I'm kind of with you, Deadly. I don't love having 3 rucks because it leaves you pretty stranded when you need to do your trades. And I know that you can move players around, flip them across the playing field and put them in flex or not put them in flex or whatever you want to do. But ultimately, it does leave you pretty, It ties your hands up when you're trying to move your team around for subs or all that sort of thing once they're named. So I think trading TDK if he's playing with Pitney is the play. You like my rhyming there?
Yeah, I mean I sold TDK last week for Sherry, and it was even before he was out. I was sort of looking at doing it just because. He looked done. He played 9 weeks straight, and he just didn't. He wasn't up to it anymore. He definitely needed the rest. So it wouldn't shock me if he also gets benched again this week, and they just give him the 3 weeks, come back after the bye, go be TDK again for the rest of the season. But yeah, I think it's probably he's done his job. He scored well. He made a bit of cash. Cool. We'll get rid of him to one of the. Top guys now.
All right. Con's got a second question. I need us all to channel our inner Matt Rowell. He wants to know, does the grass at Optus Stadium taste different to the grass at the MCG?
I think it would have to, right?
Yes.
Just based purely on climate and soil type. I think it would have to. I'm personally planning on trying.
Grass type.
Yeah, I feel like they'd use the same, right?
Yeah, I know they change out the grass at Optus for cricket season. Otherwise, the grass burns because of the extreme heat in Perth. Yeah. So, I would say it does.
Well, there's only one way to find out, Damo.
How?
You got to break into Optus Stadium.
Yeah, but then I can't compare it to the MCG.
Don't worry, I'll be on the MCG on Friday. I've got you sorted. I'll let you know what it tastes like.
Excellent. Now, Damo, here's the plan. You have to get close with the Freo rocker. That guy who stands up on the ceiling.
On the roof?
Yes.
With the guitar.
The roof is the furthest away from the ground. How am I going to get grass while standing on the roof?
If you let the plan play out.
Let the crazy man speak.
If you let the plan play out, this is only step 1. You got to get close to him. You got to infiltrate him. Possibly you might even have to become his guitar. We're talking full-blown infiltration. You are ready to go with a harness to descend from the roof once he ceases playing. Boom. Mission Impossible style. Yank a bit out, you're right back up there. He gives you a high five. You're off the roof, down, out, free to go.
You've got to do that all in 3 days. Best wishes.
Am I going to a football game or a Pink concert?
You're going to taste the grass, Damo, is what you're going to do. And it's a metaphor for freedom.
Next question comes from Jeff, Free Head. He wants to know, are there any must-have rookies this week, or will we have better options next week? All rookies, all lines. Yes, must-have this week is Cooper Simpson.
Yeah, if you don't have Cooper Simpson, get him. Don't care what your situation is. Don't care how many injuries you've got. Bank the cash, get him. We need a guy like him.
I've been burned like 3 times before, but I'm daring to say it again. I agree. Bringing Cooper Simpson. Oh my God, because if it happened to Boxall, it happened to Hustwaite, it happened to Hall, and it's going to happen to you. So bring him in.
And then next week, Kitty Coleman's the one I've got my eye on. He's a bit more expensive than a rookie, but he's the one I'm looking at.
That makes sense. I'll go Finn O'Sullivan to Kitty Coleman next week, probably.
Yeah, I think Kitty Coleman's probably locked in for me too. Next week.
Squid Lips wants to know. Great name, by the way. Thanks for that. Squid Lips wants to know what to do with stranded rookies. Burn them and take a hit. stuck with next to no cash gen.
If you only had like one or two, I'd say you could probably absorb the hit. If you have, I would say, anywhere between 3 to 4 plus, you probably need to bring in some cash makers and just cop that loss.
Yeah. I mean, I'll answer this with sort of the way I'm looking at it from my team. So I have Horne-Francis and Macrae. They're both injured. I'm getting rid of one of them, Horne-Francis. And then I'm trading him up to a primo. And I've got a rookie, any rookie that I can get rid of for Cooper Simpson, pretty much is the way I'm looking at it. And I'm definitely looking at a dead one because I've got Spargo, Cleary, Kako. They'll all play, but I don't love them. I've got a lot of rookies that'll play, but I don't love. But then I've got Patton, El Hawley now won't play. Hustwaite, Camprioli, there's 4 already that won't play. Carroll might not play, there's 5. So I need a dead one like that. If your situation's anything like mine, you've got to colour dead one. Any more than 3, and it's a big worry.
Yeah, you kind of just got to roll the dice on which one you think may have a chance of coming back. Like people like Hall was the emergency, Boxall was an emergency, so they're on that fringes in like the 25th, 26th player position. So maybe you go with the guy who you have the least amount of confidence in or has been dead the longest.
Yep. I feel like I don't know if Lucas Camprioli exists anymore at this rate. Even though I've watched Carlton VFL games and I've seen him, I'm still not sure. I think he's a myth.
He has a twin, but I've only ever seen one of them. So maybe they can only play one at once.
I don't know why
that's a Mackay situation.
I seriously think both should be in the Carlton main squad. They're both the 2 best players in Carlton's VFL team. I don't know how they don't get picked.
Yeah, Michael Voss thought that.
Voss, yeah, that's fair enough.
Next question comes from Moore. Is it fair to go Levi to Vicentini to get some quick cash gen? Look, Levi's tired, but I would not go Levi to Vicentini.
No. Levi's going to be the last rookie I trade, and you can lock that in. He will be. I'll look to trade other stepping stones before I trade Levi at this rate. The way he's going about things.
You're trading Zach Reed before Levi Ashcroft?
Right now, probably.
Okay.
But I mean, it's hard to say because I won't trade either in for the next month or so.
Yeah,
at least.
Fair
so
enough.
Hard to say for now. But yeah, those 2 guys anyway will be my last 2 actual rookies that will get traded. So Levi is. I know Horst, my co-host on Insight. He traded Levi about 3 weeks ago, and he really regretted the decision. He wishes he had him back now. So there you go. Just shows.
Yeah.
Just hold him.
And we've already spoken that Vicentini is probably not even a good option anyway.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of him anyway.
Nebulous Tim's back, Clarky.
Thank goodness. I have missed you, Neb Tim.
Nebulous Tim, one of the many Tims, all absorbed into one Nebulous Tim.
Except for Tim Prime.
Yeah, he didn't write in this week.
I think he's absorbed, but separate.
Yeah, I think he's sorted for now. He says, "Hey fellas, like many, I own the forbidden trio of Macrae, Callaghan, and Horny Frank. My question is Macrae a hold considering he should hopefully be back after his bye? And for the other 2, I was intending on trading in Bolton, but not sure who to trade for Callaghan. Also, is Simpson a must trade or can we miss? Cheers, legends. Keep up the great work." Well, thank you, Tim. Thank you, Tim. We will keep up the great work.
Deadly's covered this one pretty well, which I'm coming around on the more it's being beaten into me over the course of this episode that holding Macrae does make the most sense.
Yes.
I don't know if trading in Bolton is...
In his situation, it does make me wonder if he has a boost. I still think holding Macrae is definitely the one to do. But if he has a boost, I don't hate the idea of getting rid of Callaghan, Horne-Francis, and a rookie, going Bolton, Simpson, and then you probably can afford another primo with the leftover money. So I don't hate that if you have a boost. If not, Simpson probably is a must-have. I think if some ungodly reason this Horne-Francis thing is only a week, you can hold him for this week. Callaghan, I think, is must trade this week. But if you look, I don't hate the Callaghan to Bolton, and I think you probably got to do a rookie to Simpson, and then I think you can probably get away with holding Horne-Francis for 1 week. I think you can probably get away with holding Macrae for till the bye, after his bye. That's just the way I see it.
I don't want to hold Horny Francis for 1 week.
Well, it's just in the having the deadly three that like this. He does
just on Shea Bolton, Clarky. You said you didn't love the Shea Bolton pick.
No.
Only 2 scores below 87 for the year so far.
One was a 5, which has definitely deterred everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, has enough changed though? Is he being more consistent? Is he better than Riley Phillips?
He's being used in the midfield.
It's the Hayden Young effect. Hayden Young effect's really helped him. No Hayden Young's really.
But even with Hayden Young, he was still scoring okay.
Yeah, it's just that 5 that's just killed everyone.
It's the 5, and he's now bottomed out because he's gone 114 against Collingwood and then 150 against the Giants.
Yeah. I'm tempted to do it myself.
I really quite like him as an option at 430. I've traded him in. I'm confident in him.
Did you? And we had you on Insight a couple of weeks ago. The week after his 5, so after the Collingwood game where he scored 114, you were talking about trading him in. Did you do it for this 150?
I didn't do it for the 150. I've done it this week.
But that's fair enough.
Because his break even was 160 plus.
His break even was huge.
I wanted his price to get lower.
Yeah. Yeah, and he went up 8K, so that didn't work out.
It didn't work out, but I've got him now. I definitely have him now.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
Next question comes from Brad. He also has all 3 of Horn Francis, Callaghan, and McRae, and 2 boosts left, so we'll be using 1. Yep. He needs Cooper Simpson for cash gen, so the other 2 trades I can get 2 of Sarong, Dacos, Anderson, or Warner. Who would you take? All 4 fit my buy structure pretty well.
I'm going to say something insane so that you guys can get it out of your system early. I would take Anderson and Warner.
I'm going to agree with Anderson.
I'm agreeing with Anderson.
Warner, personally, I've owned him for a little bit now. He's okay. He hasn't really changed much for me, to be honest.
That's fair.
So I think. Is it almost time for Sarong to just take off? Surely it's got to be close.
Wait, which Dacos?
I would hope Nick.
Because low key Josh though.
To be fair, how much is Nick now?
He's
dropping pretty quickly.
Please hold.
Okay, he's
560.
He's 560
with a break even of 162.
162 against North. You probably can wait another week on Nick. This is sort of where it lands into the field of. So he's using a boost. He's got the deadly 3. I'd assume with that he's probably thinking of trading all 3. Once again, I'm going to suggest offering to trade out a rookie instead and hold McRae. I think you could still probably afford it with those guys, and then you probably could be able to afford a guy like that. And then next week, if you really like it, then you get Nick when he's even cheaper.
Clarky, I've come around. I think Anderson and Warner's actually the 2.
Yeah, I don't think it's Nick.
Sarong gets tagged too much, and it's pretty obvious that when they don't tag him, he just does whatever he wants. And Dacos still has money to lose, and you can move him later and possibly still get him by moving some guys that you want to upgrade. Whereas Anderson and Warner, they're pretty much this. They're going to go up from where they're at.
Warner's locked in F6 at the minute too, at least. So, yeah, probably is them too.
It probably is Anderson and Warner.
Well.
Clark,
you know what?
But ask me this question next week. I'll say Nick Dacos in a heartbeat, though.
Hang on, whoa. Let's not. I genuinely, for the record, I want you guys to know how stupid of a human I am. When Damo said, "I'm actually coming around," I thought for a second I was like, he's looking at Josh Dacos. Because, low-key, Josh Dacos having a pretty good year.
He's doing all right, and the DPP helps, but not him.
My biggest problem with Josh Dacos, and another quick one, he'll have games where he gets 35-plus touches, and he hasn't scored over 119. Against Essendon on Anzac Day, he took the piss against us for the first half, had about 25 at half time. He finished with 40, almost 40 touches, and had 106.
Yeah, but that's because Champion Data goes, no, the other Dacos got that one.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
The lesser brother, Josh.
Next question comes from Paul How's Vicentini's job security as first ruck for Port, weighing up Horne-Francis to Dante and McRae to Bont? Clarkie, you told me that Paul was your friend, so I've got to be nice.
Paul did ask me this question, so I thought I'd bring in the panel for this one. I don't hate it because it involves getting Bont.
Look, we've to be fair, most of this episode we've been talking about how bad Vicentini's job security could be. It's not like Jordan Sweet's been performing in the SANFL. He's been pretty bad. He got outplayed by Lockie McAndrew on the weekend. So
Jesus,
it probably look, it's more so a Ken thing than a Jordan Sweet being good thing. So that it's just another one of those ones where you just got to predict it. It's probably going to be another Flynn scenario, annoyingly.
Yeah, the one question that I have back to Paul, and obviously he can't answer me, but could he hold McRae and trade someone else to get Bont? Does he have enough money in the bank that he can hold McRae for the 2 to 3 weeks and still get Bont? Because if you come out of this with Dante holding McRae and you still have Bont, then I think that's the best scenario that you can hope for. But if you have to trade Horne-Francis, if you have to trade McRae, I'm still not there with Vicentini. I don't think I can be swayed.
That's fair.
Another one is, so obviously since he's asking for Vicentini and Bont, I'm going to assume he already has Cooper Simpson. If he doesn't, get him, and then you could probably trade one of Horne-Francis to Bont pretty easily, I'd assume.
Yeah.
And then, but if you don't have him, I don't mind Thomas Sims from Richmond. I reckon he probably keeps his spot for a little bit. Just the way Richmond's going, there's no real, like, I feel like that's Harry Armstrong will probably be playing in that spot if he wasn't injured.
Yeah,
they want to bleed these young guys now that they've just definitely got nothing to play for.
For a tall lad, Thomas Sims is quite nimble as well.
Yeah, and
we saw that first goal that he kicked in the game on the weekend. He was in 2 contests within like 2 seconds of each other, and they were at opposite ends of the 50-meter arc. So like 45 and 48 in his first 2 games doesn't look great, but I mean, if he scores 40s from here, he's going to be a slow burn, but he's going to make you an okay bit of cash and probably stays in as long as Armstrong is out and as long as Lynch keeps missing games. So
the big one is, and it's a guy who hasn't probably even played in like 3-4 weeks, is Jacob Blight. Uze did a lot of work with Blight, especially in the preseason and the start of the season, to turn him into the backup ruck, the pinch ruck. And, it even turned into Blight moving forward and playing as a forward just so he didn't lose energy at the backup ruck. Obviously, Uze hasn't liked that. He's now pushed Blight back to the VFL, back to defense to just get that craft back up a bit because he's been training forward, which basically that just shows me that Sims has just completely taken over that Blight role that he had with the forward and then the pinch rucking. So I feel like there's no danger, at least for now.
I think Sims is a good pickup, and it gives you a swing between your ruck and your forward line as well. So the DPP puts him, even if he doesn't play all the games for the rest of the season or the next 6 weeks or all of the next, if he does get dropped, he's still got a bit of flexibility there. So yeah, I don't mind that Thomas Sims call there.
Yeah, another one to watch is, I think Samson Ryan's back this week from a very lengthy injury, but it's most likely he's going to play a couple of weeks in the VFL.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Look, if you have Simpson, I don't mind the Sims idea. I'll put it that way. It's definitely one to mull over and just do a bit of research for yourself. Just look into it for a little bit.
Next question comes from Jared. Hi lads, super advice again last week. Real conundrum this week with JHF, Callahan and McRae all in my team, plus trainer who definitely needs to go. Who is a must trade and who is not? Have Elijah Hewitt and Erasmus as forward bench coverage and Philippou in flex, along with Hustwaite and Gross in the midfield. No rookies up forward on field, and 3 in the mid being fielded, Lindsay, Ashcroft and El Hooley. Who are the best options to turn the selected trades into with 148k in the bank?
All right, I'll start this off by saying that Trainer is 100% a hold for me. There is no debate. He's getting killed by Noah Bolter, and Bolter being out for this week especially, Essendon's a fantastic matchup for his position. He's a 100% hold. I think Callahan's a must trade. I think Horne-Francis is probably also a must trade as well, but you can hold for a week if you have to. And I think McRae's a hold personally, but you can trade him too. If I had to rank them, it's Callahan, Horne-Francis, probably McRae, and then Trainer. I've got I don't see a reason to trade Trainer at all, especially this week. He could get 71 easy against Essendon.
I think if you're looking to boost and go for 3, you can probably get rid of one of Hustwaite or Gross.
Yeah, one of the dead
Francis
ones instead.
Yeah,
of Trainer for sure.
The Horne-Francis and Callahan money plus Gross or Husty could get you to someone pretty decent with 148k in the bank. I'd probably 100%. Say, let me just double check.
You'd be able to get Simpson easy, and you'd be able to get 2 pretty huge.
Yeah. Noah Anderson is 540k, right? And that's a real nice pod option. If he also suits your buyer structure, you
can almost get any primo that you just want.
Yeah. 2 scores under 100 for Noah Anderson, but there's pretty much any primo, and there's so many great price primos. We've just spoken about the lesser brother Josh for 500k is if you want to, hey, you were willing to go for Callahan and you can zeke when you think you should zag. Tom Liberatore is only 560, and he's kind of the second up midfielder, which I think, has kind of been a bit of a premium position this year with the return of the tag and the run with.
Yeah.
Jackson Clare is still dead cheap.
Yeah, there's guys like Lockie Whitfield. If you don't know Lockie Whitfield, he's still a guy you're going to want. Sinclair, probably in the same boat. They're just guys you're going to want at some point, and why not do it this week if you can?
Yeah.
Jordan Dawson is about to play West Coast, and he's 540k, and he's actually just kind of been putting together a pretty decent little run of form, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Jordan Clark's 520k.
Plenty of options. Yeah. Plenty of options, and with the cash in the bank and those 2 guys to trade, you'll be able to get some good primos.
Yeah, you'll be able to get even just a Finn Callahan sideways is more than enough.
And you'll be able to get a dead rookie off the bench. You're in a good spot. I think it's fine. I don't think Trainer's not the worry this week.
My best advice would probably be just don't overcook it to yourself, right? Just go for the best available player that you have.
Yeah, trust your gut with it.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, trust your gut with it. Whoever you think is going to be the best primo at the price range, do it.
Tom Green's 550.
Yeah, I got myself Tom Green this week. Did some research on Tom Green last week and sort of just after his game this week. His disposal efficiency is basically an all-time low. And if he picks that back up, he's basically on track to average 120 plus.
Yeah.
Will he do that? Probably not. But it's literally, that's the other thing that's holding him back at the minute.
One of my least favorite things is to have to try and rely on a player. I remember for weeks and weeks, maybe last year, the year before, just saying Clayton Oliver can get back to some good form. Just needs to fix up his disposal efficiency, and he never did. And I find that Clayton Oliver and Tom Green are very similar types of players, where they do get a lot of ball. The old school Clayton Oliver got a lot of the ball and then would do kind of 5/8 with it.
Yeah.
And Tom Green definitely uses the ball a bit better, but he's just kind of not as clean, I think.
That's sort of the reason why I didn't go for Jordan Dawson when he was really popping off. Just his kicking efficiency, and I didn't think he really had a chance to improve it. I mean, he sort of has a little bit, especially over the past couple of weeks, but I didn't really think he did. But against West Coast, he's another one you could look at for sure.
Next question comes from Matthew. Do you have a list of the next possible DPPs? Matthew, I don't have a list of all of them.
I have a good majority of them, if you give me 2 seconds here. I'm sure you've got a list.
Connor Rosie's the big one. Lock him in to get defence eligibility. He's been playing cross half back for Port Adelaide, been doing a great job. He's going to be massive, being able to slot him into our backlines after this round. Going to help with a lot of people's movements there.
Hell yeah.
Where is it?
Next guy, Keziah Pickett. Cozzy is probably going to get midfield status.
Daniel
Turner.
It's nice to get a Cozzy reference in while I'm wearing my Cozzy jumper. That feels good.
Daniel Turner is probably going to get defence eligibility after 126, 79 and 79.
One of those games was as a forward, which is very funny.
I've got a list of a good chunk of people here and their percentages. So Connor Rozee, you need 35% or more to get DPP, and just a minimum of 6 games played for the season. Connor Rozee, 58% defender, and he's obviously played more than 6 games. You can basically lock him in for defence. Daniel Turner, you can lock him in for defence as well, 56%. CM Banks, you can lock him in too with 54%. Oscar Allen, he's 31% defence. He probably doesn't get there now, but he was going to be close. Cozzy Pickett, you can almost lock him in for mid DPP too, at 46%. Corey Wagner, 44%. He's probably going to get it, you'd assume, especially if he tags this week.
Yeah, so last few weeks, Corey Wagner has bumped his mid time from 34% to 44%.
Yep.
So he's all but locked himself in for that dual position now.
Yeah. And then some of the interesting ones lie in the forward line. Probably none of them get it, but Will Ashcroft, 32% forward, needs, like most of these guys are going to need 60% plus forward time to get there.
Yep.
Zach Merritt, 27%. Tim Kelly, 27%, Touk Miller, 25%, and Bont, 23%. You probably lean on none of them getting it, but if Will Ashcroft, just sits forward for about 70% of the game, he'll probably get it.
Depends how they use him.
I like, if I had to bet money on it, no, I don't think any of them are getting it.
Yeah.
Basically, the main one's Rozee, and then besides that, Cozzy's cool, but that's about it, really.
Cozzy is cool.
Yeah.
I do like Cozzy. Next question, and the last one in the list, is from Freo Girl. She wants to know, with Sean Darcy and Nathan O'Driscoll a test for playing this Saturday, how will their inclusions affect the current roles of Bolton, Jackson, Simpson, Reid, Raz, etc.? Can't fit them all in, and who gets the vest?
So it worries me, O'Driscoll especially worries me for Erasmus. I don't know if you feel the same way, Damo?
So I hope Sean Darcy doesn't come in. If Sean Darcy comes in, then then don't even consider Jackson as an option. Just gonna put that there straight away.
Yep.
O'Driscoll, if he comes in, I think he will be sub first up. He only played a half in the Waffle 2 weeks ago, and then he had to go back into rehab because the ankle still wasn't quite right. So I don't know if he's going to come straight into the team this week or if he's going to play Waffle, but if he does come straight into the AFL team, I'm assuming it will be as the sub and probably at the expense of a Bailey Banfield or maybe an Erasmus. But Erasmus got a coach's vote last week and he needs exposure. I want him to stay in the team. So Sean Darcy probably affects Jackson, probably pushes out Voss, maybe. I don't know how team selection works at the Dockers anymore because they played like 7 players in the forward line that were above 195 centimetres against Collingwood and wondered why it didn't work. And then Nathan O'Driscoll, I think he just takes Banfield sub-vest off him and Banfield goes back into the Waffles. I don't think it really affects anyone all that much, to be honest.
Fair.
Just a Freo girl asking a Freo boy to tell me what the hell's going on within my team.
And sometimes I wish I knew better than I do. Oh boy. Last week we asked our listeners, the people who interact with us online, to let us know how they want the traffic lights to proceed. Finding options every single week have been kind of difficult some weeks, but obviously with the buys coming up and all that, little bit easier because there'll be guys that come out of their buy that we will want. The responses were interesting, I will say. Most of them very nice though. They want the traffic lights to continue as they were. I believe I read one comment that said, "If it is not broken, don't fix it," or something along those lines. But
except for that one time that the first square was broken.
Yes, correct. So excellent. We did have a suggestion on our Instagram page that maybe we just go 4 greens, 4 yellows, and 4 reds, and lay it out pretty much exactly like a traffic light. And then we just had people going, "Nah, it's all good, and then and then people asking us after games have played why we recommended players. So so the same standard questions after the ones telling us that we were doing a good job. So
those are my favorite because they tell me that you didn't read the square.
Yes, correct.
Because the square tells you why we picked a guy before the game.
They just see colours, or maybe they don't see colours. I don't know.
I wouldn't be discriminatory if you do or don't see colours. Maybe this is our bad. Maybe we can make it more accessible. There's a suggestion for you, Damo.
I will be putting out a link over this weekend for feedback, mid-season feedback. You can be as honest as you want. We won't cry, I promise. Well, I won't cry. Clarky might. But yeah, let us know how we're going. We want to improve. We want to continue making this podcast as best as we can. So yeah, that link will come out over the weekend. But keep a lookout for our traffic lights on our socials and on our website. Traffic lights are a guide where we'll grade some players each week, and they will either be awarded a green, yellow, or red rating. Green indicates a good pick. Yellow is a watch or a hold. Red is a trade or a void, and a player could earn their rating for several reasons, including, but not limited to, scoring potential, job security, price point, reliability, or injury status. We posted shortly after teams drop on a Thursday with an update on Friday if needed once Sunday teams confirmed. I think the funniest thing is last Thursday, teams dropped at 4:20, 6:20 in Melbourne. 6:21, we get an inbox on the Facebook page for the Footy Mailbag saying, "Where's traffic lights?"
Fair question. Where were they, Damo?
I can't work that fast. I actually have to read the team, read the teams to know if I have done a good job or not. Because some weeks I don't read the teams and accidentally put in a Jed Buslinger when he's been omitted.
Yeah, that was good. I liked it that week. That was nice for me.
All right, almost at the end, but before we go, Deadly, who is your vice captain this week? Who do you like?
I haven't looked too far into it, but my God, is it hard for me to look away from Bailey Smith against his old team?
Right?
It's impossible for me to look away from it. I don't know if I'm going to go there. I might just be boring and go Jerry or Gawn, like both of them. But I like the idea of Bailey Smith vice captain into one of the rucks.
It's very funny. I agree with the Bailey Smith VC just because I'm like, either that or maybe like a Bont or someone, because I think someone in that game is going to go absolutely huge just because there's just that little bit of bad blood about it, right? Where it feels like something special is going to happen.
So the Bailey Smith's going for 35, 3 goals and flipping the bird off every 5 seconds, or he's getting floored in the first 2 minutes and getting concussed.
Yeah, super funny for Bailey Smith 5 minutes into a game to give the finger to James Harms. Who's going to just be like, what? I wasn't even here.
Clarky, who's your vice captain?
Bailey Smith.
Excellent. Me, myself, I am also going for Bailey Smith.
I think other options probably include, I don't hate Zach Merritt against Richmond. I
think Zach Merritt's in for a huge game.
Yeah, it's Dreamtime, it's Richmond, and it's Zach Merritt. You know what? Those are not real reasons, but they are also reasons when I said them out loud.
I'll put it this way: Zach Merritt hasn't gone under 30 touches against Richmond since about 2017. So,
yeah, I seriously considered Zach Merritt as a vice captain, and to be honest, I might not go for Bailey Smith because I've broken Lekdog's rule of not VCing someone in the first game of the round two weeks in a row, or 2 out of 3 weeks. So I'd probably need to, and my team's been going downhill, so who knows? Maybe it's a coincidence. But yeah, Merritt is a very good option. I also like Lockie Whitfield against Carlton on the first game on Saturday.
Yeah, Sherry against Darcy Cameron as well feels pretty good because Sherry is just in a real purple patch.
Yeah.
I'm assuming my current loop is possibly Clay Hall, so I'm just looking through pending teams. West Coast played pretty late, so that's good for me.
Deadly, who are you captaining this week? Who are you putting your team on the shoulders of?
Personally, it's probably just going to be one of the rucks, but I'm sneaky looking at Isaac Rankin against West Coast.
Ooh,
I don't know if I'm going to go there. That might be too spicy, but I'm probably just going to lean on Anageri, most likely.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't hate Gawn against Grundy for me personally, but also I feel like that game's a real danger game for Melbourne, who, by the way, I'm still riding high because that was fucking excellent, that win against Brisbane. That made me feel so good. But Max Gawn has just been doing it. When was the last time he went below 110? It feels very safe. It feels like home. I also don't dislike Andy Brayshaw against Port because for some reason Fremantle just beat the Giants by 90 points and Port Adelaide also lost by what felt like 90 points. Oh, there's a dog. Sorry. Deadly's dog has just come on camera and I absolutely love dogs. Anyway, yeah, I don't hate Andy Brayshaw. He's been having a really good year.
Yeah. I've got Tristan Sherry on the Saturday night. I wanted to VC Sherry and C Brayshaw, but considering they play at the same time, that's kind of hard. So yeah, my VC is either going to be Bailey Smith or Zach Merritt, and then my C is Tristan Sherry.
Oh, I hate that so much. I just saw that they're playing at the same time. I hate it when they do that. I hate when the Western Australia game is on the Saturday night. Don't put two games on at once, AFL. That's the next thing. After they get rid of the sub, they need to fucking sort that shit out because that's garbage.
Yeah, but it would require a Sunday night game.
I love Sunday night football, Damo.
Okay.
I fucking love Sunday night football.
I thought I was in the minority there.
No, it's
I'm a big fan of
so
it.
good.
I like Sunday night games.
I would rather watch any shit game that gets the last game on a Sunday than watch Bounce.
Oh,
which I get conned into watching every week as it's 5 minutes of football content and then Andrew Gaze shows you whatever fucking YouTube videos he's been watching that week.
Bounce makes my piss boil, I'll be honest. It pisses me off so much.
It doesn't know they don't know what they are, and that's fine. Fair play to them because I'm like, is this AFL Top Gear or is this an actual
I don't. The fact that ex-professional NBA basketball player Andrew Gaze is on a footballing show and they call it fair play.
Shout out to the one segment that I do like from that show, which is where I forget the name of it, but they guess how long the kick was.
Oh yeah, I don't.
There's just there's just a little part of me that I'm like, I would like that, but I want it to be a 30-second TikTok video.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
There was one clip. I got forced into watching it. By force, I mean I just had nothing else to do, and it was in between the 4:40 Sunday game and the 7:20 whatever, one of them ones anyway. And they had Bounce on in the middle of it. They did this segment where they saw something online where they have two elastic bands, and you put your feet underneath it, and you let go of one, and you got to try and guess. You got to pull 1 foot away and guess which. It was the dumbest thing ever, but it was good to see Andrew Gaze get his foot clobbered for a bit.
Yeah, they also did the viral one of where they had the electric fly swatter.
Oh yeah,
and and I think the person has to put their hand down, whatever. But you both have your eyes shut, and it's anyway. Stupid show, fucking stupid. And we've obviously watched way too much of it as captives.
Hey, let us know if you like Bounce. Let us know if
don't
or don't. Yeah,
I got stuck in the preseason when they had at halftime. They'd always have that pickleball match or whatever they played every single halftime. That was always that also really ticked me off.
All right, let's wrap this up. That's this episode of the Footy Mailbag done and dusted. Thank you, Deadly, for coming on. Where can people find you and your content?
Most of my content just goes through the Insight Fantasy Sports Network. So sub to that on YouTube. Give us a follow on X. We put up some great stuff. I mean, I'm just an extra guy of that great team that we have over there. And then my Twitter is SC Deadly, so you can give me a follow if you want to. I don't be posting too much though. I just exist over there.
That's fair.
And Clarky, thank you.
Always a pleasure, Damo. It's probably just a nice. I know that we've run long on this one, but probably there's not really a perfect moment to do this. But obviously, the AFL world had some pretty tragic news over the weekend just gone. So I think, obviously there's a lot of speculation. However, it's an important time that we sort of need to say that if you are having trouble with your mental health, or if you believe that you need support with your mental health, like please reach out to one of the many available public services, or reach out to friends, family. It's super, super important that you take those steps, and just remember that, Headspace exists, Lifeline, Beyond Blue, just to name a few. You are always going to be wanted on this planet, and you are always going to be supported without any kind of judgment from anyone.
Clarky, I think we're all on the same wavelength there, and especially considering I have this prepared. If you are struggling, help is available. Speak with someone today. You can call Lifeline on 13 11 14. Text 0477 131114, or there is a live chat available. You matter. We want you here. Please reach out for help if you feel that you need it.
Perfect. As you can tell, Damo and I clearly talk a lot before the show is recorded, but we are on the same wavelength with that. But hey, we're also doing plugs, so now's probably a good time. If you want to reach out to me on social media, you can find me at QuantumJC, or you can find my other podcast, The Falcon, a footy podcast, over at Falcon Footy Pod, where we had the same message, and I know the guys over there also agree with that, and I think we all agree as a community of both football lovers and just good humans on this planet.
You can find us at the Footy Mailbag on pretty much every social media there is. And if you haven't given us a rating on your listening platform of choice, please do so. It helps us get into the algorithm, helps us get into people's ear holes. My name is Damo. You can find me at DamoSC on Twitter. Add an underscore after that for Instagram. We've also got a website, thefootymailbag.net, where you can find our podcast feed, our merch link, all of our written content, our traffic lights, and links to all of our socials. Thanks for listening. We'll talk next time.
Titan AE is a 2000 American animated science fiction adventure.